Sportin Wales podcast.
Supported by DragonBet.
Your go-to for Welsh sports news and views.
Hello and welcome to the Sportin Wales podcast, sponsored by DragonBet and co-founded by Alex Cuthbert and Gareth Edwards. I'm Geraint Hardy and I'm here to keep the guests in check as we look forward to the Sportin Wales week. Please remember to click follow and thanks for listening to this podcast. And this week on the pod, we've got Alex Cuthbert and also an extremely talented man, Sean Holley, a man who can do many things, including hit some sexy golf shots. Sean, welcome to the pod, mate. I've been watching you on your Instagram playing golf. You can swing a bat, fair play.
Yeah, I can when I want to, when I feel like it. Thanks very much. Great to be on the show. I've got a golf company, Great Days Golf, so I've got to be half tidy at golf. Never had a lesson. So I really strive to get down to single figures. Got down to one last year with loads and loads of practice. Started in COVID, where I had a lot of time to do that, and golf was one of the things that really kicked off. But
you started your golf career in COVID?
Well, sort of properly, yes.
Wow.
I've always played, you know, but I was, just before COVID, I was 18 handicap. Now I'm 2-3, so.
Yeah. That breaks my heart, Al.
Yeah, I'm mine.
Oh, he's a good golfer.
Over the last couple of years, before when I was at Exeter, we used to play all the time, all in the week. I guess as I got older and trying to stay healthy week to week playing rugby, golf is actually quite more tax. It's a lot more taxing than you think, especially if you don't have buggies and you're walking, 18 holes, and if you're left, right, and everywhere, you're walking 10k a day, aren't you?
This is the difference between a player and a coach, though. See, right? When I was at Exeter, I used to get out and play golf. They go, they've done their training, and fair play, that's what they paid to do. But then as a coach, you're first in, last out.
Yeah.
All the ones you get invited to, you never get to play because you're last out. Your weekends are full, obviously, with games and reviewing. So when I finished coaching, I decided to knuckle down with golf.
Yeah, and you've never had a golf lesson?
I had a putting lesson from Gareth Lewis a couple of months ago. Louis, who's now with the Professional Rugby Players Association. Yeah. So, and he was brilliant, my putting.
Because he was a pro in Harlech, right?
Yeah, brilliant coach. And had a putting lesson, and it's made a massive difference.
Okay. You're having lessons right now.
Yeah, I am.
You?
Absolutely.
What's wrong with your game? Tell us then.
Oh, gee, everything. Just getting off the tee. It's funny enough, the short game, I'm all over it. I've got a good touch, 150 out. I'm pretty good. Just getting off the tee, I think. When when you play with the lads, it's a bit of a man test. Who can hit the furthest? You start. If one of the boys hits a good one first out, you're like, right, you can't be beating me. Especially if I'm playing Gareth.
Yeah. You've got to take the ego out of it, though.
That's the thing. That's the hardest thing.
It is the hardest thing. Shots you see them on TV, and then it gets in your head. So you're slightly behind a tree, under some branches. You've got 220 to go, and you're saying to yourself, like a commentator, you said, "Yeah, I'll just take my 4-iron out here and I'll bend it around the tree and then bounce it on it." When in reality, you take a 7-iron and take your medicine and then put a pitching wedge on. But it doesn't happen. But I'm loving it. We got Great Days Golf, who we're in collaboration with Sportin. We've got a Sporting Golf Day on 24th of September. And our events are flying, and we've got travel now online, which is fantastic. We've got everybody trying to book in to come abroad with us or actually come into Wales, because a lot of good courses in Wales that people want to come and play. So, loving it.
So, do you organise this, or have you got a team of people behind you?
We've got a team. I'm right in the thick of it. It's probably what I'm most busy with, particularly out of rugby season. Events are flying at the moment. We had a cracking one last Friday called the Singles Open for the gold jacket.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody comes along, wants to win the gold jacket, a bit like the Masters. Last year's winner presents it.
Nice.
It's a bit like a jacket from the 80s band Shawadi Wadi, mind, right? It's just ridiculous jacket.
Yeah,
but
awful jacket, right?
Awful gold jacket, fine. But it's a bit of fun. Live style, booze on the course, bit of music, But we've got a couple of serious ones coming up for great charities. One with Jason Bowen, former Wales Football International, for MND. He's suffering from that. It's Rugby Against Football at Pyle and Kempfig. My charity day for Valindra Cancer Centre in August, both sold out. So we do a lot of good for charity as well.
On the gold jacket, did the person who wins it, do they have to bring it back the following year?
They bring it back, but they keep it, right?
Right.
And this was only the second year. So last year's winner, he couldn't have like a pre-event dinner on his own. so it's quite funny. He presented the new one, and those two can now go for dinner before the event next year.
Nice.
That's like old school Masters, isn't it?
Yeah.
We had a similar one for Ellis Jenkins' stag do a couple of weeks ago in Marbella. 16 of us out there. We called it Minuti Masters.
Nice.
So the whole trip we were just drinking rosé, the lot. And day one, I was winning, 34 points, I think.
Nice.
Second day, bottled it. Lloyd Williams overtook and won, and he won this like bright pink jacket he wears for the night out, and now it's his. He has to organise the trip next year now. That's how they do it.
Brilliant.
The trophy and everything. It was class. Very
and
well
keep
run.
the jacket. You can't lose it though ever.
No, that has to be. Yeah, if that's not the bat next year, some serious consequences.
The thing about golf, see, when you finish playing professional sport or being involved, you still have that competitive element. You know, it's still the banter with boys and girls. Lots of women are taking up golf now. But it's brilliant for business. You know, we're finding we have a business network through golf, and people are realising that the hospitality sector is changing, and you can spend a lot of time on a golf course with clients, like-minded people, and do a lot of business on the course. And that's the angle we've taken, really. And then now we have that golf business network, we're finding that they want to go abroad because our winters are dreadful. So they're looking at Spain, Portugal, Dubai, Turkey, all sorts. So... yeah, it's a good place to be at the moment.
Yeah, if you're listening to us on a podcast, it's that Sean Holley's got a lovely tan. That's a golf tan, right?
Took 20 clients to Marbella just after Alex last week.
Probably a good job.
Yeah, he made sure you guys had gone.
I was checking, actually.
Yeah.
Every bar we went in, I was checking they weren't in there. But it was the Ospreys in the community. So the charity arm of the Ospreys, Tom Sloan heads that up, and 20 of those sponsors of the charity, where we took 3 games of golf, 4 or 5 nights, and they raised £5,000 for Ospreys in the community for dementia, Alzheimer's, close to my heart because my dad has Alzheimer's. And you know, so while they're having a great deal of fun, they're making a lot of money for charity as well.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. So on your golf days and in golf in general, who is the most famous person you played with who's good at golf?
That's a good one.
Because, you know, we've heard about, you know, I've seen Gareth Bale play in the Celtic Man. I've not played with him. He looked good. Aaron Ramsey's quite good, apparently. But from the rugby boys, is there anyone who kind of stands out?
Joe Simmons down Exeter was pretty good.
Okay,
he would have been near enough scratch when he wanted to, but he was always quite easy to get into mind-wise. So it'd be me and another lad called Stu Townsend. We'd always go against him and a guy called Ollie Devoto, who they were better golfers, but we were very good. Chirping off, you know, we ended up always winning because he'd bottle it. Or
were you saying, hit it longer than me, and he was trying to whack it in?
We'd always make sure we'd be first, and you know, just little. It was quite good. We got in his head, but he's one of the best ones in terms of striking it. I think he was pretty very, very consistent.
There's a lot of good rugby playing golfers. You know, remember Nicky Walker, the Scotland wing? He could hit the ball. You know, Lee Byrne hits a long ball. Look, the Quinnells. I mean, you play with any of the Quinnells. Scott, Craig, Gavin. Hit the ball a mile. Obviously, they're massive. But I remember I played at Bryn Meadows, got invited to play, and I was playing with Sir Gareth Edwards. And we're in a buggy, and I went to the first hole. And Sir Gar is the nicest guy you'll ever want to meet to everybody, right? And he's complimentary of the 2 we're playing. It's 2v2. Oh, nice to meet you. This, that, and all up the first hole. Now, I've chipped on and made the putt for a birdie. And he gets in the buggy, and he changes it. He goes, "Well done, Sean. We got to beat these bastards." He just flipped like that, you know. So competitive. So competitive.
Yeah. Well, I played with Gareth once in Celtic Manor, and we were losing. We were playing against Rob Brydon, and Rob Brydon is not a very good golfer. I think he's off 24 or something. And he was like, "Geraint, we cannot lose against Rob Brydon. He plays off 24, and he had a putt to win, right? And he missed it, and he was fuming.
Filthy,
absolutely fuming with himself. Do you know what I mean? And me blaming me as well, which is fine. But if you're Gareth Edwards,
I got one more golf story.
Yeah, go on.
You know, people always ask me if I ever had a hole in one. I had one, right, on Pylan Kempfig, and I was playing with my dad, fortunately, and Scott Johnson. Remember the old Wales coach? So it was on the 4th hole, and we watched. It was a good one, only one I've had, and we watched it all the way in. I'm celebrating. My dad is ecstatic. I turn around, Scott Johnson's thrown his club on the floor and gone, "Ah, mate. And I'm going, "Jono, it's a hole in one. Come on, give me some credit." And he goes, "Nah, mate, nah," as he does. "Nah, mate, nah. You don't understand." He said, "I've only ever played this course twice. And the last time I played it, Mark Davis Carcass, the Wales physio, he had a hole in one on the same hole."
Wow. Fair play.
So he was filthy as well.
So if you want a hole in one, play with him.
Play with Scott Johnson.
Yeah. Speaking of other sports, though, I watched Alex play a bit of cricket last Friday. It was Chris Cook's testimonial. You were decent, mate.
Yeah, it was all right. It was good fun, wasn't it?
But you did, right? He was one of the bosses here, his daughter, right?
Ruthless,
He
mate.
bowled straight at her head. And
No, I bowled a full toss, and I didn't realise it was his daughter, sorry.
Yeah.
And then I was a bit gutted after, because I actually celebrated, because it was my first wicket. I felt a I felt quite bad,
It looked
actually.
ruthless from the side.
But then she bowled at me after, and she was going for my head again. So it was.
Yeah, but you were whacking it for 4s and 6s.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was. To be fair.
Yeah, do you enjoy that? You
I did. Yeah, I did enjoy it. It was good. It definitely. It's a lot harder than it looks on telly. When he did throw a few down at me, it was. It was good. It was good fun.
Did any of the Glammy boys kind of go full pace at you? Do you think?
No, we had DeLang, who bowls about 90 miles per hour. He was on our team, and he was throwing some heavy balls down to the other lads, and they couldn't get near it. And they're actual cricketers, so it was quite scary. And you could see the difference. So Gareth Hanscom bowled, he opened, and he got hit for 29 off 2.
Did he?
Got hit for 29 off 2 overs. But the difference from where the wicket keeper was from his bowling to DeLang was about 50 millimetres.
Yeah.
The speed was just unbelievable. Fair play. It's impressive.
You kind of hear the ball, don't you, before you actually see it? It's past you, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think Labuschagne, he was batting. He made it look so easy. Don't you remember he took a unbelievable catch on the far boundary, caught it one hand over his head, threw it up in the air, stepped out, stepped back in, caught it. It just made it look like so easy.
It was like the Indian player that did it in the actual
literally
final.
in the final. Yeah,
it was the same. What's your other sport then? Rugby, golf?
Cricket, I played schoolboy cricket, international schoolboy cricket.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was with Glamorgan for a bit, the coach, played for the seconds. I was captain of Wales under 16s. And fortunately for me, in the same team was one Robert Croft, who was also an off-spinning batsman like myself. I say fortunately because I wouldn't have had the rugby coaching career I would have had if it weren't for Robert Croft, because he was much better than me. I was average, to say the least, but still president of my local cricket club, Tartar Steel in Port Talbot. Very proud of that. We run 4 teams, a couple of junior teams, so I don't play anymore. The ball's too fast now, and it's too hard, and the knees won't let me, and golf's taken over. But from a passion point of view, it would be cricket.
Yeah, good. You mentioned coaching there. So where did you start your coaching journey there? What age did you kind of start?
So I was at Loughborough University studying sports science, graduated in 94. I went straight into a job into what is now Coleg Cigar.
Okay, yeah.
It was CCTA back then, the Greg campus. I went straight into lecture, A-level P and BTEC sports science. And they had a rugby team, and I grabbed that opportunity whilst playing for Aberafan at the time. Actually, in November 1994, playing against South Africa, that was the end of my rugby career. Smashed into a couple of Springboks. Did all my knee, anything that you can do to your knee, I did. The worst thing was I smashed my patella into 3. Anyway, it took me 18 months, 3 operations to convalesce. In that time, the game had gone professional. The game had passed me by. I never really made enough of a good enough recovery, But I was teaching and coaching, so it sort of took on from there. I wrote a course, a bespoke BTEC course called Rugby Studies, which Graham Henry came down and Phil Bennett to endorse. Adam Jones, the prop, was on the first cohort. And it sort of went from there. And I started doing my badges. I was young. I was only 24, 25. I was a young coach. And the union must have seen something in me because I did my badges really quick. Started coaching the likes of David under 21s, Dwayne Peel, Barry Davis, those sort of guys. And then managed to coach the Welsh students, which sort of catapulted me into coaching the likes of Kerry Sweeney and those sort of fellas, and at Wales under 21s. Then I did the first ever level 4, and I was the youngest on that. Got through that, and then got the job as the first director of rugby at Hartpury College, where Alex went. And I know it's my fault. All the Welshies that go to Hartpury College, it is my fault. And how I didn't make that documentary, I don't know, but. That was great for me. It coincided with me shifting to Wales Sevens head coach, so I got experience of the Sevens circuit. And then 3.5 years later, around about 2003, Steve Hanson phoned and said, "Get down to the Knoll. I want you to be interviewed by Mike Cuddy and Lynn Jones." And I got the Ospreys assistant coach job, and the rest is history, I suppose.
Yeah. So when was the first time you met Al then?
It was quite late, actually. I'd left Hartpury by the time he got there.
Yeah, Alan Lewis was the guy in charge when I was there.
Yeah, so that would have been 3 directors of rugby after me. Andrew Stanley was after me, then Geraint John, then Louis, I think.
Yeah, Geraint John, I remember Geraint John. Yeah.
So, coming back on my team playing against Alex's team would have been...
Yeah, he was at Ospreys, yeah. That would have been 2011, probably.
Yeah.
So, in terms of coaching, because you speak with so much passion about rugby, and we all enjoy your punditry on Scrum 5. Do you miss coaching? You've got any aspirations to go back to it?
I did miss it. I did. A couple of things happened. You get burnt a lot when you're a professional. Alex is nodding there. Whether it be a coach, a player, administrator, you somewhere along the line you're going to get burned. We run out of money at the Ospreys. There was a big review. That was in 2012. A lot of players had to go. I had to go. I'd been there 9 years, 5 trophies.
Yeah.
Top of the league. But, you never really recover from that. I went to Bristol 3 years, 3 titles, got promoted to the Premiership, had to go, and...
Are you saying had to go because what? Because you were burnt out or because you just achieved...
A number of reasons.
Or financially it was kind of... They couldn't afford you?
No, not on the contrary. At Bristol, sometimes you knock heads with certain players or coaches. At the time, it coincided with my eldest son having a tumour. So I decided to take a year off and see him right. That year became 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Why? Because you realise some things are more important in life. That when you're a head coach, you are 24/7, whether you like it or not. You are immersed in it. You're driving the bus from the front. You're opening your laptop the minute you get home. You're first in, last out, as I said, and it consumes you. You were fine because you're the man. You're driving it. You're Mr. Ospreys or Mr. Bristol or whatever. But you don't realise how it's affecting all your friends and family around you until something like that happens. And then, that after that year, 2 years, when your kids are saying that you're a better dad, you're more at home, you're calmer, we see you more.
Yeah.
You're able to play golf and go on holiday.
Then, isn't it? Do you know
So
what I mean?
yeah, and then I got to be honest, I got heavily involved into the TV, hosting events. I've got an outdoor adventure business down in St David's, Pembrokeshire. Then Great Days Golf came on, and then COVID hit. So, things passed me by. I did miss it. I got some great offers to go back. I resisted, and now that's flown. Really, I'm at peace with it all. And I've gone back in. John Neal, the new head of coaching performance, has brought me in as a coach mentor, and I'm mentoring 5 guys that I coached: James Hook, Richie Pugh, Bradley Davis, Paul James, and Andrew Bishop. So I'm mentoring those 5.
What
and
a group of
what
boys
a group! What a group! And I'm loving it. And I feel like I'm giving back. It gets me close enough. Commentating and punditry gets you close enough to the game. Alex will know that.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably that.
Yeah. When the offers came for other jobs, was it a conversation within yourself, or did you take it to the table to the family?
Took it to the table.
Yeah.
Have a word with yourself first. Took it to the table. I never used to. When I became head coach of the Ospreys, Leicester Tigers came in, European champions at the time. A year or two later, Axel Foley rang me, want you to come and be my attack coach at Munster. That was a difficult one.
Yeah.
That was like turning down Man United at the time,
Yeah,
It was like, oh my God, young family sort of plays a part in that. But then when it finished, you got things like Coca-Cola in Japan. Why did I turn that down? They're not a very good team, but it doesn't matter. Chance to go to America, chance to go to France, chance to go to Ireland again, back into Welsh regional rugby. It does tweak you, but I think you've got to be strong and weigh the options up.
Yeah. Interesting, though, isn't it? Write a book.
I could write the book. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. That's the thing.
Go for it, sell it. That's how you sell those books, isn't it?
How would you control that 5 he named there, Al?
I'm not sure because Bradley would be the one. If you sort him, you sort the others, wouldn't you? But they're good. They're good young coaches, and I think in Wales we do have a lot of good young coaches, but they seem to get to a point and then sort of disappear. And I think that's where they need mentoring until they can go further afield. They can leave Wales. They start opening their mind up in terms of seeing the game differently, whether it's in England, France, Japan, or down in some of the hemisphere. I think you look at Mark Jones, for example. Yeah. He did his due diligence in Wales. He did international. He went to North Wales, did his time there, and then he went to Crusaders, and I think that opened up a big book there. He came back, did Worcester, and then now he's at Ospreys, and you can see the fruition that he's had in coaching, the way he is with the players, and how everyone really wants to buy into what he wants to do on the field. It's good to see.
Yeah, punditry now. Al's doing a lot of it this year.
He's good.
Yeah,
he's
he is
really
good, isn't he?
I get him worried, actually.
What advice would you give him then for kind of
be yourself? When I went on there, timing was good for me because only Dean Ryan really, as a coach, he was on Sky Sports at the time, so it was a bit of a niche for me, and I became the coach on TV, and I've been doing it 12 years now, so I must be doing something right. But I think what I do aside from commentary and that, what I do particularly like Six Nations, Scrum 5 is, dare I say, quite difficult for people to do when you turn it round that quickly and then be able to wrap it up in the time you're allowed and articulate it across to so many people live. You know, Alex will tell you that's not easy to do.
Because you get like a 4-minute section, right? But you maintain that yourself, don't you?
You've got, I do all the clips myself with a guy called Big Al. I prepared it all. I never get any sleep in the Six Nations, but I think it's really important, a really important part of the show, and I get a lot of good feedback for it. But it's tough to do. It is tough to do. And then when the red light goes on, as you know, and you're live, you know. It's got to come out, and I never get. It's never scripted. It's never an auto cue.
You can tell though. Yeah,
it's got to be authentic. You know, so I love it. That pressure is something that you get from the coach in the professional world. So, yeah, it's good, and hopefully I get to do it a few more years. But these whippersnappers that are coming up and chasing my tail, I don't know.
How do you cope with former players or current players? Sorry, kind of talking to you. You critiqued me there, Sean. Like, how do you deal with that element?
I think it's easier for me. I think, you know, and Alex maybe can back me up here, is that having been in the coaching room, that's going to get harder as I get older and the younger ones come through who I haven't coached. And I'd like to think that most of Alex's generation and people like Dan Bigger, Sam Warburton's era and all that, who I coached, it would be no different to what I'd say to them face to face in a one-on-one or in a video analysis session on a Monday. So I'm not holding anybody out.
Yeah.
Just being, you know, and I can back it up with some facts and some video. Yeah, we can have a bit of a disagreement over it, but ultimately that's what I think. And if I show you that and articulate that the right way, then they can accept it. Nobody likes.
It's not personal, is it?
Nobody likes that.
Never malicious until when I figured out quite quickly in terms of the information that we're saying is what we're seeing, and what they're the simple facts as. It's never a crack at a single player, is it? It's most of the time it'd be around how they're playing or how the team are trying to set up to play. And I always try and say, like, you're very good at in terms of like, why are they kicking in the middle of the field? You know, people are like, why are they kicking the ball all the time? Well, rugby nowadays, no one can play in the middle half of the field, because if you have a penalty, it's a 22-metre drive line, and the odds of them scoring is about 80%.
Yeah.
You know, just little things like that. It's not a crack at like, oh, why did he give away a penalty? At the end of the day, rugby is hard enough as it is. You know, it's a split-second decision, but we're just stating the facts, and it's never going to be a personal, you know, barge at that person.
I think it's, you know, you educate the general public.
That's it, yeah.
A lot of people in Wales, you've only got to think of your immediate family and friends. They all think they know the game, when in reality they don't, you know? And so it's about educating them in a nice way, clear, concise way. So, for example, I always get, why is there so much kicking in the game? Well, I always say, look, if you go back to the 1973 Barbars against All Blacks, have a look at the ball in play time and have a look how many times the ball was kicked. The ball in play time is nearly half of what it is now, and they've kicked the ball twice as many times as in the modern game. So,
wow.
So don't come at me with that, you know? Yeah. There's an easy answer. The greatest game ever.
And we do our research. We know how the teams want to play. You know, I'll speak to all the boys in the week, right, how are you going about playing, especially derby games. I know exactly what they're trying to do, both sides of the ball. So we can be more critical there, because we're like, right, they're not actually doing what they want to do.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, actually, because we did touch upon it earlier when we weren't recording now. Like the English football boys now, do you know what I mean? They seem to be biting at the kind of the comments that the kind of pundits have said to them. So, like, how hard is it, Al, when you're playing to not bite, I suppose?
Well, it makes me think, them biting, I think, at pundits, I don't think they're buying into what obviously the coach wants them to do, is it? Because in theory, they'd bat that away and be like, right, this is how the coach wants us to play, this is why we're doing it. They obviously don't agree with probably what Gareth is wanting them to do, which is why they're probably frustrated about comments coming from the outside. But it is hard. I remember being a young player and I had a bit of stick for a couple of years from pundits, and you always think, oh, you don't know anything. But when you look at it from this side now, I learned an awful lot then as I do now. So you understand it's never personal. That's the thing. But I probably didn't get. You don't get as a young player. It's hard to explain, really. You don't get it unless you have the experience of it.
I say to my sons, like, you know, the further up the mountain you go, and I mean in terms of experience, the more you can see.
Yeah.
And like as a young coach at the Ospreys, Jiffy was constantly having a pop at our back play. We were scoring loads of tries and that, but at the time I got really prickly about it, and Lynn brought him in, so I got to know him and understand him a little bit more. Now, as Alex says, when you're older and wiser and you understand, then and the shoe's on the other foot, it's a much easier thing to accept. But that's always going to be the case, I think, particularly with younger players. So it's our job to be as clear and as informed as possible so that there is no real recourse, you know.
Yeah, it's hard though with social media these days as well.
I think that's what Harry Kane said. I think it's very difficult for them to get away from it because you pick up your phone, or well, it's not newspapers anymore, is it?
No.
There's a plethora of mediums which they can access that. Even their family, you know, texting them, screenshotting something. But I think you've got to get over that. You know, when you got someone like Gary Neville, who's had 8 campaigns as a coach player for the England national team, I think he's coming from a pretty solid place. You know, he's not having a go for the sake of having a go, you know. So just switch off and get on with your job, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of jobs at hand, Wales in Australia. What is fair level expectation, Sean, in your opinion, of what fans should expect from the Welsh boys on this tour?
I improvement. You know, and it's really hard. You know, Welsh fans will say, "Oh, we can go out and win the series." Well, let's be honest. You know, even where Australia are, and they haven't played since the World Cup, Joe Schmidt's come in. They've gone well in the Super Rugby for a change.
Yeah.
So their curve is upward, whether they played or not. They're favourites, they're home. And if Wales can get within a score in either test, I think that shows some improvement. You know, I think going over there, we haven't won over there for how long? Ever? I can't remember. But I think the hardest game as well is going to be the Reds.
Yeah.
The Reds are off the back, and it's sad, isn't it? But the Reds off the back of being together all through Super Rugby. Can you imagine? You know what it's like? Oh, we've got an international
Relishing
team.
it.
They've been
Chance
waiting
of
for
a
that
scalp.
'cause they would have finished a couple of weeks ago, wouldn't they?
Yeah, so just improvement, blood some youngsters, cap Regan Grace off the bench in the second test. That's it, because he's not ready. But get a look at players and keep building. That would be the expectation for me.
So the Regan Grace hype, you're telling fans,
He's not ready.
Easy.
He's had a long injury. He hasn't played rugby union in anger since he was.
I'll be surprised. I don't think he'll play. See,
I think he's just got to cap him. If I'm being, you know.
I know for a fact they've made quite. There's a lot of people starting first test that you wouldn't think would be starting. Right. So there's going to be
Tell us.
inside knowledge. I know 9 and 10 are different to what probably people were expecting.
Okay.
So I think they've sort of thrown caution to the wind, and they're going to give these young boys a go. And they're going to be Wales are going to be a tough team to beat. They're going to be niggly. They're going to be right in their face. You know, they did well in parts against South Africa, against a very physical pack against South Africa. You know, Australia aren't going to have the pack that they had. They're not going to have the line speed that South Africa had. Yeah. So they are going to have more chances. It'd just be how they want to play. I can see them kicking an awful lot in the middle third. Yeah. And, you know, the likes of Rio and Liam on the wings, they're good in the air. They're good at chasing. They're going to just do what they're good. That's what they're good at. So they're going to probably do a lot of that.
I don't think we'll see much at all, mate. I think you're right. I think he'll strip it right back.
Yeah.
Go to a kick-in. I would imagine he's done a lot on fitness, a lot on defence, a lot on kicking. You know that.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything wrong with that. He's got to put a mindset into the young players that this is the bare minimum. You know, you do something next as quick and as fast as you can, faster than the other guy.
That's what he did in 2011-12. I remember with Sean Edwards, every unit session we did the same thing all the time, over and over and over. And at the end of the day, we had the best defence in Six Nations and we won it. You know, if you concede less than 10, 12 points a game, you're going to win, you know. So that's the mantra. They want to hang their hat on something, and I think that's the easiest thing to go to is hard-working, tough to beat physicality. Yeah. That's what it is.
So that really echoes Tompkins' comments this week about going back to kind of boring rugby for like Sean.
Well, there you go. If we've got an experienced player saying that, then look, from a coach's point of view, you just finished bottom of the Six Nations. You've lost a load of experience and quality players. You've got a group of youngsters in. Warren, I would be thinking exactly the same. It's not sexy. It's probably not pretty to watch, but the building blocks are fitness, and Warren's massive on that. Set piece, you know, so they've done a lot on even restarts, but scrum and line out, defence with foreshore, kicking game, kick chase, transition play. You know, limiting the scores we have against us. And if we get opportunity from spillage, turnover, interception, whatever, take it. Any opportunity for points, take it. Yeah. And I think that I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because we've got to build for the next World Cup, and these young players have to understand fundamentals, building blocks, and basics that are required for international rugby.
They need a win, Sean. I think 7 losses in a row. Like losing and winning is a habit. Yeah. But I will say, I remember back in 2012, we won Grand Slam. We went to summer, we lost every game. Autumn, we lost every game. We lost first game in Six Nations. That was 8 games in a row. These boys are only 7. So they're in the
You're
same
hoping they beat that,
same
yeah.
situation. Hopefully they go a bit more than that. But we end up winning, the championship.
Exactly.
So it can change very quickly. All it takes is one little scrappy win. Just get over the line. International rugby is about winning results. It's a results case. It's not like club rugby where you can, find your feet and go through. International rugby is winning.
So what changed in that year? Was it just a single win?
Yeah, France away. We won. It was a horrible game. George scored a minging crossfield kick from Bates.
Yeah, that's right.
And scored in the corner. His old man's running on the field.
That's
a
the
lot.
one, yeah.
And we're like, who the hell is this old boy? It's like, it's George's dad. We scraped through that win. And then from then on, the rest is history. We beat England 30 points. Yeah. Half the team are on the Lions tour. It can change so quickly.
But in my head, thinking back about that Six Nations campaign, we were playing free-flowing rugby. Were we?
We lost 30 points to 20 against Ireland at home. First game of the campaign, we were in and then we had to go to France away. That was, just a scrappy little win game. That's all it takes is that one win.
You summed it up there. So you don't remember, do you?
Short memories.
You don't remember. You remember George's dad coming on and the win. You remember that.
You don't remember the 8 losses before that.
No, I don't.
What I do remember though, right? It's Cuthbert's Corner. I tell a quick story. It was my mate's 50th birthday, right?
Okay.
And unusually I wasn't working it, probably because of that. I said, I'll buy you tickets. We'll go up and we'll have a good day on it, and we'll enjoy this, right? I fancy Wales, because England were coming down for the championship as well, weren't they? Yeah. And so I got him tickets, and I looked at the tickets. I'm like, I normally get quite decent one if I can. We go in, we're now in that corner, bottom tier, about 6 rows from the back. I'm like, mate, I'm so sorry. I'm really sorry. I said, I don't know what's happened here, but look, let's get a couple of beers. We'll enjoy anyway now, right? So the anthems come on now, and that's the other thing. I'm on Scrum 5 tomorrow as it is, right?
Yeah.
So I'm at the game, I'm having a couple of beers. The anthems come on, and I would watch the warm-ups, and it's Stu Lancaster, and about maybe half of the team or more of England hadn't played at the stadium. And you can sort of see him, his body language as a coach, Then the anthem, that's the best anthem I've ever experienced. And I'm thinking to myself, we've won this. No, did we win it? We absolutely smashed him.
Yeah.
And he scores 2 tries right in front of me and my mate. And I'm like, see, I got you the tickets. They were the tickets. Thanks, Cathy. Thanks, Cathy. You sorted me out there.
Proper.
That moment though, that was a good night, I'd imagine. That one.
Yeah. That was the one international game I played where I've scored, and we've known we've won. We've won the championship. We've won. We beat England. They were going for a Grand Slam, and we beat them. That the last 10 minutes was so much fun.
Yeah, you
could
enjoy
just knew
it.
we were going to win. We just that was probably the one time I really really enjoyed it
and took it all in.
Yeah, it was. The atmosphere that day is probably the best I've ever been involved with, maybe other than like the first test of Lions in Australia that year, but that's number one for me at the moment. Nothing's beating that atmosphere wise.
And most of it was Sean in the corner.
Yeah.
Well, it was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah,
hell of a performance winning that one. Gats then, is he under pressure? Is it fair to say he's under pressure then?
He probably is, but the thing with Gats is he never feels it, he does feel it, but he's probably been in worse situations. I remember having a bottle of wine with him in New Zealand the night of... Remember he put the clown's nose on?
Yeah.
And that morning in the New Zealand Herald was a big caricature of him with a clown's nose. He felt a little bit under pressure then. I remember, speaking to him. But this one he's probably taken as a different challenge. He's been lucky, hasn't he? He's had generation players, groups of players come through halcyon days of success. Now he's got to roll his sleeves up. So knowing him, he's probably seen it as a bit of a challenge. But, he's got to do it. At the end of the day, it is what it is now. He's got to really show his minerals, unlike any time before, I think, and earn his corn again with the Welsh public. So, let's hope he does it.
Do you think he's got the backroom staff for that, though? That would be my question. Has he got... because he usually has very good generals underneath, and I don't feel like that's probably the right set of guys for this young team at the moment, in my opinion.
Well, I've worked with John Humph a lot. I think Humph is very, very good. He's very good with young players. But been around a long time now.
That's what I'm saying.
Howlers, is he doing the right role? I don't know.
I don't know what his role is really, because obviously Alex King's there.
Alex King. So what's Howlers doing? Howlers, for my mind, needs to be doing what he was doing before. And that's probably what Alex King's doing.
Yeah.
For sure, still the jury's out at international level. So you're right. question marks are around that. But again, it's on Gats, isn't it? He's picked them.
You can tell when he's under pressure. He gets quite spiky, doesn't he, in the press? He changes very. You know when he's laid back and chilled and he's got nothing to worry about. He's very up and down in the press. I've noticed. You'll know when he's under pressure. He gets a little bit short. His words are shorter and he's a little bit more abrupt. You can tell very much in the press.
He does get a bit prickly. Yeah.
The Sam Parry situation, and I know you know him, Al. I don't know if you know him as well. Sean,
Yeah,
but,
I know Sam.
But that wouldn't have helped things. So, what's your opinion on the situation there? Because, I'll give my opinion if you want. I look at it. It's his job to play rugby, and I'd imagine that level of criticism and the rejection is massive in sports. Do you know what I mean? As it is in show business, but like you take the bumps and you go with it and you keep going. Nick Tompkins kind of says something similar to like, I personally wouldn't have left, but it's up to Sam. It's fine. But also Sam's had a new baby recently, hasn't he? And he's been thinking, if I'm not valued here, I'm going to go and spend some time with my missus and baby. Do you know what I mean? So I can see it from both sides, but if he wants to progress as a part of that squad, he's got to kind of get on side with Gats, right?
It's difficult not knowing the full facts, isn't it? Being in the environment, having been a coach in that situation, it's... dealing with players. I had Mike Phillips and Justin Marshall. Trying to manage those two, right?
Yeah, all the best.
Because it doesn't matter who you pick, the other one's going to have his ass out. Yeah, and you've got to deal with them.
Nightmare. Yeah.
So me, I was about building relationships with players, so that when those times came, then it was a slightly softer blow. Well, it was never a softer blow because I had people knocking my door at home and coming in and having that, which is fine. But
you're joking.
Steve Tandy. Oh, Steve Tandy. Steve Tandy didn't live far from me, and he wasn't getting picked over Marty Holler, who happened to have 40 All Black caps.
He's pretty good, mate.
Behind 40 All Black behind Josh Cromfeld and Richie McCaw, by the way. He was arguing that he should be playing in front of him, and I had to argue that maybe not. But day to day, those things happen because boys want to play. It's their livelihood. They want to showcase big games. They want to get out and prove themselves, get another contract. Their friends and family are watching, whatever. So I get it, but you've got to build the relationships and trust. And maybe in this case, Warren hasn't done that with Sam Parry.
That wouldn't be one of his strengths, though. No. And I think that probably has to change with this squad. I think, back in the day with, obviously, likes of Dan Bigger, Alowin, those boys, they like that bit of tough love, sort of looking over the shoulder sort of coaching. Warren is a little bit like that. These young boys are different. They're different era. Half these boys are born in 2000, So it's a totally different mindset that you have to go in. I think these boys need to have a relationship with the coach. Look at Andy Farrell. He's very good with the Irish boys. He's on the phone to them a lot. Steve Borthwick's very good at that. I think that this era now, you have to have that personal relationship as a coach, especially international. You don't want to be... You want to be looking forward to going to training. You want to have that confidence, whereas Warren is quite standoffish. That's probably... what's happened here with Sam, the communication hasn't been great. Yeah. They didn't tell him he wasn't. So they named the squad, but usually they name a smaller squad and have a couple of players come in for the week. But what they did, they named everyone, but didn't tell the players that weren't going to Australia early enough.
Right.
So these boys come into camp thinking they were going to Australia, but they weren't. I think there's a big communication lack of it, I think. And that's something that Warren is probably, that's not his strong point. So... And then obviously then what's happened is Sam just felt disrespected, and that was his decision.
Yeah. It surprised me, the comments, if true, what Gatland had said to Sam Parry, the way, less lack of kit and stuff like that. I was quite, as a fan, going, oh, wow, I'm surprised by that.
You can't do that. If that's true, you can't do that. What I know of Sam, he's a good stand-up kid, He's not a kid anymore. That's probably why he's put out, because this would have been his opportunity. But you can't, the minute you give, it's like selection by bib, isn't it? Just put that on now. Right, put that on.
Don't read into it.
Thursday morning. Don't read into it Thursday morning. Put that on.
I love that. That's actually the best. Monday, Tuesday when that happens, unbelievable.
And stash, players love kit and stash, So if you give somebody less than somebody else, then it's like,
But it's bitten both hands now, isn't it? So obviously Elliot Dean not fit. Sam would be the perfect fit now. Yeah. And now they're having to pick Effin Daniel, who would have been on probably holiday for the last 4 weeks. So.
Yeah, he's been Zanti.
Yeah, so he's
young.
He's probably not going to be in the best shape, and he's suddenly in a Wales camp.
Yeah.
So all the best.
There we go. We'll see if we can amend that relationship between Sam and Gats. Let's get on to the big one quickly, Sean. Strategy WRU, the house.
crikey.
Like, were you a little bit?
You said we'd never mention it.
No, but only a bit, because I think we spoke to Abi, didn't we, last week, Al? And it was a bit. And I said to her, I think the disappointment is that we've got a strategy but no house. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a shame we didn't do it all in one.
I think as well the way it's been communicated, it's not clear for me. You talk. Let's say my dad and my father-in-law are sort of 80, and then my sons who are 23, 21. I asked both of them, and they don't really understand or have a clue what the strategy is. So that if you're involved in it like us a lot day to day, then you sort of get, okay, there's a lot of consultancy jargon in there for me.
Yeah, spin.
Yeah, spin. We've had enough of that, Right, this is what's happening, and this is how we're going to do it by then.
Yeah.
And this is what we're going to cost, and this is what we're going to save us, and this is what we're going to make. So, and you're the goals quite clearly. We're going to win the Six Nations again there, and we want to be number 2 in the world by then. That for
That's
me,
never changed, though.
No.
Has it? That's surely been the mantra of the last 20, 30 years, isn't it?
Yeah, you say that.
Wow.
When I went in for my level 4 interview, whenever that was, back in the 1930s, Al, whoever was director of rugby, I know who it was Teddy Cobb, and I said as a young coach, what is our mission? He said, we want to be in the top 6 in the world. And I said, as a 32-year-old coach, why wouldn't we want to be number 1 in the world? And he said, well, we're not going to do that, are we? And I said, well, where are we going then? What am I doing then?
Why are we doing this?
I want to be number 1, So that's always been there. But a little bit vague and spinny. Yeah. For me, it was a good word, spinny.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose September is what we've been told, that, we'll get a decision on kind of the regions going forward. What are your concerns with kind of...
My concerns are the Ospreys will go. That is the bottom line. I know there's plans to move to St Helens, Swansea, Bridgend Council are trying to counter it and get something going there, but the plans are way down the line. I keep saying we because, I spent 9 years, my home, there from the inception. I know the heartache and the work that it took to create a new brand, a new entity, what it meant to Neath supporters and Swansea supporters and Aberystwyth and Bridgend, what had to happen to the Celtic Warriors and those clubs, it was devastating. So for the more successful region to go would be a crying shame, an absolute crying shame. But it seems to be all guns are pointing that way, Al.
It does. I had the feeling, I think, in the conversation with Abi, I think because the deficit's too big. I think they worked out. What I found crazy, they didn't know what their lost profit was. That was so whoever did the finances was WRU.
Well, not this year. In previous years.
In previous years, is a bit of a shambles there. But the deficit's too big to have 4 teams, and I just think that they're always going to have to take away from the regions, and they're never going to be that competitive. Yeah. And then what happens then is the senior team are really going to feel it, and top 6 is well out of reach at the moment, isn't it? I think we're really like 9th in the world at the moment. Yeah. So from a business point of view, 3 regions is looking the more likely, it seems like. It'd be fun. It'd be interesting to see come September if they can't fund that deficit, whether they do put the Ospreys in Cardiff together. And then you obviously have the West, and obviously East, and then obviously with the North Wales as well. So, it'd be some team, wouldn't it, if they put the Ospreys in Cardiff together? Yeah. But logistically, it would be a bit of a nightmare.
Well, what Osprey fans will say is it will become Cardiff, and it will.
Yeah,
it will. But
which is a shame.
But we should have a city region, if you like. We should have a lot of resource into that. When you look at Leinster, they get that resource because it's Dublin.
It's just looking past the history and the heart. And the heart says we need 4 teams. We want the Ospreys the most. They've won the most trophies and they've been the most competitive in a lot of competitions. You've got to look past that. You've got to look long term. Welsh rugby. How are we going to get better as Welsh rugby? How's the national team going to get better? Yeah. And it is probably, in my opinion, 3 teams.
But you can hear here, Sean's heart was talking straight away. Do you know what I mean?
I can hear the Ospreys fans in my ear saying, "Why are you saying that?" But we all want the same thing, and I think I don't know.
What I'm hearing is the Neath fans, what they were saying to us in 2003.
Yeah.
The Neath and Swansea fans, and then we had to say, look, we're trying to bring a new brand, a bigger entity, professional era, transform a new generation, which is what we did up until 2012. But it's happening again. Needs must, if the money's not there, somebody has to go. But the argument from the Osprey fans will be, why not the Scarlets and why not the Dragons? Particularly the Dragons, who've never
It's a fair argument, though, right?
For them, it's a massively
Yeah.
fair argument. Yeah.
Well, we hope it doesn't happen, do we?
Yeah,
Like,
no.
I've loved my time at Ospreys. I've loved that club. They got an unbelievable group of young boys, the coach and staff. They're all young and it's a great environment. Like, it's a really good team spirit there. And for them to suddenly disband, it would be, it'd be horrific,
Yeah. Well, they've got till September to sort it out, really.
It's not long.
Apparently, we're going to get an answer till then. So we'll see. Thank you, guys. It's been really good. You going to have more golf lessons?
Yeah, I got a few more this week.
He's got 10 booked in, I think.
Yeah, Will at Hensel, unbelievable place there. If anyone's been there, get down there. Just the kids. I've just got a nice summer off. I got Ellis Jenkins' wedding in Ibiza a couple of weeks, so I've got to get to the gym and because the boys are all looking good at the moment. I put a bit of weight on, so I need to get.
Well, it's two ways to go with that, isn't it? There's either like the drinking practice or the gym practice.
I'm good at the drinking practice already. I've had my fair share, so I got to get back in the gym.
And Sean, what's plans this week?
More events coming up with Great Days Golf. So lots of golf for me now. A few trips to Spain to prep for next January, February, March when we got clients going out there. So it's very much golf until rugby season kicks in again.
And I know golf fans will be asking, what's your actual handicap?
I'm currently 3.3, but
that's good.
Good, no?
That's stinkingly good.
Play.
Yeah, too good. If I ever play football with you,
we'd have a good scramble team here, wouldn't we?
We would. Yeah, we would actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you off, Al?
What am I, 12 point something at the moment?
12, 10 and 3.
Gareth's 11.
We'd clean up. Here we go. Let's
a
get a
good
football
scramble,
going.
that,
Let's
yeah.
get a football going. Happy days. Now, cheers, guys. It's been fantastic to have your company. And thanks for you for listening as well at home, wherever you are. Remember, you can follow us on our socials. Just search Sportin Wales. Tell your friends about us and share the love. And we'll catch you next week. Wherever you go, wherever you are, enjoy your Sportin Wales week.
Sportin Wales podcast.
Supported by Dragon Bet.
Your go-to for Welsh sports news and views.